Часть вторая, Part 2. Здравствуйте, дорогие друзья, я, Александр Майоров, продолжаю знакомить вас с программой Нила Макгрегора «История человечества в 100 предметах». Hello, dear friends, I'm Alexander Mayorov. I continue introducing you to Neil MacGregor's book A History of the World in 100 Objects. Давайте послушаем. Let's listen.
This is a week of objects connected to shifting empires and legendary rulers, from Alexander the Great to the Emperor Augustus. Over 2,000 years ago, from the Mediterranean and the Middle East to India and China, these leaders found different ways of physically projecting their power and their authority. Today's programme is particularly fascinating, though, because it's a special case. It's about a ruler who's not strong, but weak. A king who has to bargain for and protect his power by borrowing the invincible strength of the gods, or, more precisely, the priests. We're in Egypt, with Ptolemy V, a Greek boy king who came to the throne as an orphan in 205 BC, at the age of 6. Ptolemy V was born into a great dynasty. The first Ptolemy was one of Alexander the Great's generals, who around 100 years earlier had taken over Egypt following Alexander's death. The Ptolemies didn't trouble to learn Egyptian. They simply made all their officials speak Greek. And so Greek would be the language of state administration in Egypt for 1,000 years. Perhaps their greatest achievement was to make their capital city, Alexandria, into the most brilliant metropolis of the Greek-speaking world. For centuries, it was second only to Rome. It was a cosmopolitan magnet for goods, people, and ideas. The vast library of Alexandria was built by the Ptolemies. In it, they planned to collect all the world's knowledge. And Ptolemies I and II created the famous Pharos lighthouse, which became one of the 7 wonders of the world. Such a lively, diverse city needed strong leadership. When Ptolemy V's father died suddenly, leaving the boy as king, the dynasty and its control of Egypt looked fragile. The boy's mother was killed, the palace was stormed by soldiers, and there were revolts throughout the country, which delayed the young Ptolemy's coronation for years. It was in these volatile circumstances that Ptolemy V issued the Rosetta Stone, and others like it. The stone is not unique. There are another 17 similar inscriptions quite like it, all in 3 languages, and all proclaiming the greatness of the Ptolemies. These were put up in major temple complexes across Egypt. The Rosetta Stone was made in 196 BC, on the first anniversary of the coronation of Ptolemy V, by then a teenager. It's a decree issued by Egyptian priests, ostensibly to mark the coronation and to declare Ptolemy's new status as a living god. Divinity went with the job of being a pharaoh. The priests had given Ptolemy a full Egyptian coronation at the sacred city of Memphis, and this greatly strengthened his position as the rightful ruler of Egypt. But there was a trade-off. Ptolemy may have become a god, but to get there, he'd had to negotiate some very unheavenly politics with his extremely powerful Egyptian priests. Dorothy Thompson, Emeritus Professor at Cambridge University, explains.
The occasion which resulted in this decree was in some respects a change. There had been previous decrees, and they take much the same form. But in this particular reign, the reign of a very young king, whose kingdom was under attack from many quarters, one of the clauses of the Memphis decree, the Rosetta Stone, is that priests should no longer come every year to Alexandria. Alexandria was the new Greek capital. Instead, they could meet at Memphis, the old centre of Egypt. This was new, and it may be seen perhaps as a concession on the part of the royal household.
The priests were critical in keeping the hearts and minds of the Egyptian masses on side for Ptolemy, and the Rosetta Stone was their reward. Not only does the decree allow the priests to remain in Memphis rather than coming to Alexandria, it also gives them a number of very attractive tax breaks. Of course, no teenager is likely to have thought this up. Somebody behind the throne was clearly thinking strategically on the boy's behalf, and more importantly, on the dynasty's behalf. So the stone is simultaneously an expression of power and of compromise, although to read the whole content is about as thrilling as reading a new EU treaty written simultaneously in several languages. The content is bureaucratic, priestly and dry, but that, of course, is not the point.
На этой неделе мы будем рассказывать о предметах, которые пересекались с империями великих правителей, начиная с Александра Великого до императора Агастуса. Примерно 2000 лет назад на просторах от Средиземноморья и Среднего Востока до Индии и Китая великие завоеватели, лидеры этих территорий, нашли различные пути продвижения своей мощи и авторитета. А сегодняшняя программа особенно имеет значение, потому что это особенный случай. Сегодня мы говорим о правителе, который не был сильным, а был слабым. Правитель, который выторговывал свою независимость, пытался защитить свою территорию и при этом просил невидимую силу для защиты у богов. А если говорить более точным языком, у священнослужителей. Давайте представим, что мы находимся сейчас в Египте, где царствует Птоломей V, мальчик, грек по происхождению, король, который сел на трон в 205 году до нашей эры в возрасте 6 лет. Птоломей V был рожден в Великой династии. Первый из династий Птоломеев был одним из генералов Александра Македонского. Генерал, который стал управлять Египтом после смерти Александра Македонского, Александра Великого. Династия Птоломеев не утруждала себя изучением египетского языка. Они просто заставляли всех официальных чиновников говорить на греческом. И поэтому греческий язык был языком администрации в Египте на протяжении 1000 лет. Невероятно, самым большим достижением этой династии было то, что они сделали столицей город Александрию и превратили ее в прекрасный метрополис греческого мира. На протяжении столетий Александрия уступала только Риму. Александрия, как и всякий город-космополитен, притягивала торговцев, людей и различные идеи. Ну и, конечно, Великая библиотека Александрийская была построена при династии Птоломеев. И в ней они планировали собрать все мировые знания. Птоломей I и Птоломей II также известны тем, что создали чудо света, Фаросский маяк. И такой живой, разнообразный по национальностям и по темпераменту город нуждался в сильном лидерстве. И когда отец Птоломея V неожиданно умер, оставя своего мальчика в качестве короля, династия стала терять контроль над Египтом. Ее контроль выглядел хрупким. Мама мальчика была убита, дворец был захвачен солдатами,